All right. Thanks for tuning into the podcast for dads. My name is Zach. I'm your host, the Machezo Buana. Here on this show, what we're going to do is basically, I want to hear from the fathers out there. I'm basically an advocate for the fathers, going through my own situation with the family courts. I know how rough it can be. So what we're doing is basically just want to have a coalition of fathers to be able to tell their story, make everybody aware of what's going on, and see what we can do to get some kind of reform in this country to basically help heal our families and heal this country. Today I have my guest is going to be Chris Cole. He's an advocate. Saw him on a Facebook group for fathers. So, Chris, are you there?
Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm actually sitting in line getting ready to vote here shortly.
Okay. Now, for what I saw, you're a libertarian, right?
I am a new libertarian thanks to family law.
Right. I guess politics makes strange bedfellows, right? I think that's the they're saying. So, so tell us about your story.
As a libertarian, they believe that federal government should not be involved, and many people think that what we're dealing with is a state court issue. But what they don't talk about is the federal incentives that are given to these state agencies for child support collection, which comes through matching funds. What's that?
Sorry to cut you off, but what do you mean incentives? Are you talking about money?
Matching financial incentives within the Social Security Act under Title 4D and E. Basically, Title 4D states that child support state collection agencies will receive matching funds from the federal government for child support collection dollars. So whatever the child support agencies spend in collection or to run their collection agencies, the federal government will match those funds. And I'm not clear about the exact dollar amount. I don't know if anyone really is. I've heard that it varies from state to state. So doing more research on that, on the specific details of how much is actually matched. So basically what's happening is states are making a large amount of income from the federal government and Social Security through social services and child support agencies to put profit over parenting.
Well, I mean, I can see how that could lead to corruption when you put it like that. But what kind of proof do you have?
Not only
for
can you see how it
naysayer?
would lead to it, it actually is corruption in of itself. Basically, you're saying, hey, let's not do what's in the best interest of the kids. Let's just collect child support dollars. And seeing that 1 in 4 children are not growing up with their biological father, I would say that 25 million dads didn't wake up one day and say that they didn't want to be dads. I think that is a biased agenda that's been pushed by the media. I don't want to say that it doesn't happen, but I've spoken to many more fathers than fathers that I see that just don't want to be in their kids' lives. It's an incentivized thing for a single parent, for single motherhood. We do like to preface that this does happen to moms. There are vindictive dads out there, and given a certain situation, moms can lose custody of their kids depending on really who dad is in that particular district or town. Maybe dad knows the judge. Maybe dad knows the attorney. You never know what's going on behind the scenes where women can lose custody of their kids. Sometimes it's about money. Mom might not have any money. She's a homemaker. And dad's a well-off businessman. And false allegations can get thrown around in courtrooms. Predominantly, this is about 85% of single-parent households are mothers, with about 12% now I'm hearing is the new statistic coming out that are fathers. And of those 85% that are mothers, welfare recipients, 90% of welfare recipients are single moms. So this is a program, it's a socialist program. It's basically having you dependent on government. It causes poverty because what it's doing is in that Title IV funding, if you are a mother who receives state benefits, such as child support, Medicaid, housing, food stamps, or any of the other numerous state-funded programs, because that mother probably can't afford for whatever or chooses not to afford to work two jobs like they tell us dads. You know, I've been to court before where I worked a full-time job, and it wasn't enough to pay the extortion amount that they came up with, so they said, get another job. And I said, well, when do I get to see my kids? They said, that's not our problem.
Right.
Your kids need to be taken care of.
Let me interrupt you real quick. So the whole thing is you need to be in your kid's life. Before anything, before the money is important, but what you need is to be in your kid's life because the research is out there. And I've heard the same thing. I've been told the same thing. So, you know, they know they can't play ignorance. They know the consequences of not having the father or the mother in the home. The research is there. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Right. And here's the situation. Basically, what they're doing Google the definitions, but this is kidnapping and extortion. Without due process of law in family courts, you're not charged with a crime, you're not in endangerment, you've not been convicted of domestic violence, you might have been accused, but they don't take you to criminal court. They will find you unfit without due process in order to justify those child support payments. When they justify child support payments, they basically have you paying for your kid outside. You're basically paying your child's mother to be a nanny for you, even though you're saying, I want to raise my kid. I will provide for them. I will feed them, clothe them, put a roof over their head. I will provide all the things that I provided for when I was with their mother in my home, and she must do the same. You know, because let's be honest, you know, I'm not a patriarchy type male, or I'm not an anti-woman. I'm not a woman hater at all. I love good women. I have a mother who's a really great woman. And, you know, I speak to these women, and even these women say, yes, we have women out there playing the system. We're creating a culture of welfare moms, and we're creating the United States of stepfathers. Every dad is allowed to be a stepdad to someone else's kids, but the courts won't let you father your own children. Why is that?
Yeah, it's deep.
Profit.
Yeah, it's deep. You know, you talk about women know this. I've had other women say this from different races and different ages, so they know what's going on, but the whole thing is nobody seems to feel the need to do anything about it. And none of your politicians, well, I won't say none of your politicians, but I don't hear a lot of politicians speaking up against this because, you know, let's face it, it's a lot of money, right? And so,
well, it's a $50 billion a year industry.
$50 billion. So, you know, that's a lot of money to take away. So you're gonna have to make sure that they can still get their money.
There's a lot of states that make a large portion of their revenue through those matching funds and child support collection. So all these mothers who are on welfare, these mothers are cash cows to the states. It's how it's funding the programs, and it's.
Go ahead. I was going to say, now, isn't it betrayal to the kid to even do this as a mother? You know, because it's like unholy alliance, the state and the mother or the parent, right? The custodial parent.
Right.
When they do this,
Well,
because they're
under the Constitution, the courts should be without bias, and parents have equal rights under the 14th Amendment to their children. Now, it doesn't list our parental rights specifically in detail. However, it does say that the courts and the state should not interfere with a parent's right to parent, with a child's right to be with that parent, and cannot tell you how to raise your children. So, with all factors considered, unless there is a current drug issue, a current a proven domestic violence issue that took place in a criminal court, allegations are just that, allegations. However,
they take allegations.
They've used the Violence Against Women's Act to basically say, believe women first, and then we'll, seek out through due process justice. Well, false allegations are never reaching criminal courts, because what would happen? They would get dropped unless they can be proven. So in a civil court, in a custody matter, they're used by the judge as an excuse to use what's called his authority or the judge's, his take on the case, which is basically the judge feels this way. This is judge's discretion. That's the word I was looking for. Judge's discretion supersedes law, constitutional law, and due process in civil courts. And when I say that it doesn't do it lawfully. It just means that most people won't challenge these courts. I'm not that, Father.
So how are you challenging the courts to make sure that they are adherent to the Constitution?
I'm extremely vocal on social media. I have yet to have any judge or attorney willing to speak with me on my podcast.
Right.
Yeah, they're afraid.
Of course. Why would they? Why would they?
Absolutely. You're breaking the law, and you don't want to talk about it. So basically, they've created a cottage industry that they're protecting. And as judges and attorneys, as you may know, they have something called absolute and qualified immunity, which makes it near impossible to sue a judge for any behavior that they've done unlawfully on a bench. Now, you can put the pressure on and hopefully go to an appeals court or the Supreme Court and have that judge's behavior or practices looked at. But it's very challenging and it's very costly. Because, of course, we all know that this is a world created by attorneys. A third of our government are former attorneys, if they aren't current attorneys. Judges, we're all attorneys. This is an attorney world, which basically creates the ability that if you practice law, you can create a criminal organization. Now, a lot of people think that's a very radical thing to say. I don't.
So what do you say to the people that when you actually present this information, you can present the evidence, and they still turn away and not do anything? Why should they care about what's going on?
So there's different types of people. There's apathetic people, and these are usually the people that it hasn't happened to them yet, or they haven't heard. I've spoken with people that this has not happened to. It's we're talking about a quarter of the people in the United States are going through this. And it's increasing. When you talk about 40% of children are now born out of wedlock, and divorce is at a 50% rate, it's only increasing the amount of divorces and custody battles that we're dealing with. And they're rarely is a time that I don't speak with someone that doesn't know someone that's gone through this or hasn't gone through this themselves personally, either currently or in the past. And I gotta be honest, there is a so it's apathy, it's fear, and it's also a belief that they are one person and what can they do about it. They're fearful of being put in jail, losing custody of their kids, or any other manner of threats. If they speak out. A lot of advocates, when they speak out now, unlawfully, unconstitutionally, they're getting gag orders put on them. Freedom of speech. They're saying things like it's slander or it's defamation of character. Without proof, those are obviously things that occur, and through due process, through a criminal court, you can prove that by all means. I stand by anything I advocate. I stand by it. I speak the truth. I know everything that I say can be proven, so I don't say things that I can't prove. And I'm willing to take the risk for my 2 sons who will grow up to be fathers one day. And I will be, I don't know if you can say damn on this podcast, but I'm going to say I will be damned.
Well, it's a podcast, No, you'll have to. It's cool. It's a podcast.
I will be darned. I will be darned if I let this happen to my sons or my grandchildren in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I look at it as treason. And, a lot of this stuff I'm just now finding out. And, so some people don't know. But, some people just don't care. It's just like you said, they don't think they can do anything because, as a father, it's kind of embarrassing because you're almost automatically looked at as a deadbeat dad if you get put on child support. And mentally, you pretty much traumatizing. It's not just traumatizing to the kid, it's traumatizing to the parent, So you have so much stuff going on. You have to worry about the financial aspect, the aspect of actually trying to see your kid, So you have to worry about bills, and so it's not like one thing you can just focus on. So it can be very draining, and a lot of people don't realize that, and I never realized it until I actually had to go through it, and I'm like, oh well, this
doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And going back to the child support thing, so basically what they do is they remove your child from your household, and they create them as an additional expense that's actually more than the true out-of-pocket cost of raising your child. So when your child doesn't live under your own roof, which is part of providing for your child, you are then subsidizing your ex or their other parent to basically house. So you're basically taking on another rent payment or mortgage payment. And you're basically taking on a second grocery list. And you're basically taking on a second vehicle to fuel and a second, they don't even give you the option because they limit your access to your children if you become an every other weekend father. What they're able to do is then mom, if she is working, puts your children in daycare. So now you've been told that you have a daycare expense that you didn't even give permission to be part of your budget. So the state says, hey, we don't want you to raise your kids, but we're going to tell you how much they cost. So you're not allowed to make financial decisions for your children. And they want you to survive on basically subsidizing their other parent so that they can afford their rent, their food, their car payment, their cell phone, their insurance, their electric, their water, all the things that you would be paying for your children in your own home. So now you're paying, let's just say I was paying they lied about my income, but that's a separate scenario. So it ranges anywhere from 25% to 30% to 50% or more of your income. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you make $3,000 a month, and you have to pay $1,200 a month to mom. Okay? So now you have to live off $1,800 a month, which a lot of places for rent, if you do get your kids every other weekend, might be $1,000, and that's on the low end. Okay? Let's say you have a car payment, and it's not real high, but it's not real low, $300. Okay, well, now we're at $1,300. So now I have $500 left. You still need to pay a cell phone. Well, my cell phone bill is about $100 a month. My internet, my electricity, my groceries, that money's gone now. In fact, I really probably didn't have enough money. I probably have to get a Cricket phone or something like that. I probably can't afford a $100 a month cell phone bill, and I probably can't afford the internet. I'm probably using hotspot. Because at that point, I only got, $800 after my rent to pay my electric, my food, for my kids when they come see me on the weekend, my car payment, my cell phone, my insurance, and God forbid I might want to go out to eat. God forbid when Christmas comes, what am I going to do? I can tell you what I'm doing this year, and I've done for years in the last 2 years, is I sell things so that my kids have a Christmas. I sell my belongings to make sure that I have money for them for Christmas so that Santa comes. What does their mother do? Use my child support to give them a great Christmas.
Yeah, and they, the other thing is that they actually don't track the funds that you actually give to the other parent, the custodial parent. So,
that's another thing. Child support should be based on the actual economic true out-of-pocket costs, and it should be divided by 2. The problem is these mothers are applying for welfare benefits. Instead of wanting to pay for half the daycare, half the insurance, pay their own rent, because they'd rather be low-income single moms that make a modest income plus the state benefits plus the child support, and they live pretty well for someone who might make $9 or $10 an hour, and then dad's paying for half of. My child support alone covers all of daycare, which is about $1,000 a month, so no daycare expense, and a few $100s going towards whatever they need in the home. So that's a large amount to have to pay while I sleep on my dad's couch and see my kids 2 days a week. Or, I'm sorry, twice every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's sad, man.
So this is what you go back to the. Yeah, it's the destruction of families that gives government power.
Yeah, and they know that, and they do a lot to hide this. And this is something that I didn't even realize this was going on. On a mass scale like this. Even going through a situation.
It is the issue. Even in the black community. Do you know where a lot of this started? Because of the war on drugs, the welfare programs, mass incarcerations. Like, our prisons are like 98% men. A lot of these men either grew up, and I don't even know what the percentage is of people who owe child support. Do you know that if you get behind enough on your child support, you could be charged with a felony?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, that's new. And I will send you, remind me, I'm going to send you a website that discusses all the federal incentives and all the federal declarations and federal acts in which were put in over the last few decades that have created this fatherless epidemic. You want to talk about COVID? You want to talk about race? What we should do as men and as fathers, both in the white, Latino, black community, is start coming together, because I know that the issues that we're seeing in Black Lives Matter, the issues that we're seeing in gender and race and all these angry young men that we're seeing out of these marches and all this violence that we're seeing, ask them where their dad is.
Well, Black Lives Matter, their mission statement was to get rid of the father. So, I don't know
Absolutely.
how much help Black Lives Matter.
And we know that from what I've heard, Black Lives Matter is actually run by women.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, lesbians.
So it's more the agenda of empowering the single black mom and removing this deadbeat, domestic violence father. These drug abusers. Do you know why people do drugs? Do you know why people are violent? Because they're broken. Because they're in poverty. Because they're hurting. That's why. We don't talk about the root issues. And this is the root issue that branches off into teen pregnancy, drug use, suicide, incarceration, poverty, mass shootings, violence, gang relations, is all due to the destruction of the black family, which has now come over into the lower to middle class white family because they're making money off of it. So basically, this is a racial attack that's also bled over into a war on dads and men in general.
And Americans.
And it's because we're getting a very dependent socialist. We're empowering feminism, and feminism has become very toxic. We talk about toxic masculinity. The only people that talk about toxic masculinity are toxic feminists. These are women that want to eradicate.
I think we just I don't know if you heard the countdown, but I think we just we might be off. I don't know. You can still keep talking, but I think we might be off. I don't know if you heard that countdown, but we were at like 60. Yeah, you didn't hear that? Maybe it was just on my end, and plus you yeah. So we're past 30 minutes now. But sorry to interrupt you, but you could keep going. I would just say, maybe go ahead and close it out. Hopefully this got on there, but I know it's saying not on air anymore. But I thought you heard the countdown, but I didn't want to, I didn't want to just interrupt you as you were on the roll at that time.
No, you're fine. So it's not going live anymore?
I don't think so, but we can just go ahead just in case. You can just wrap it up then because.
Yeah, we can. I guess I can talk for hours. So, go check out Victims of Family Law. Go out, check out my page. We're creating a website. I work with the Libertarian Party, although, if Republicans and Democrats want to step up to the plate, I'm all for it. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting the same result, and it's also voting on the same two parties expecting the same result or a different result. So I'm a libertarian now, and until the Democrats and Republicans do something about this, which I don't think they're going to get rid of their billion-dollar business anytime soon. So I'm going to work with the Libertarian Party directly, and being the third largest party, I think we can get this thing magnified and get this voice and this issue heard.
I think so. If it's a one issue, maybe run on one issue and actually go out to the people and just, if they can make people aware, because a lot of people just don't think the Libertarians could win, I think. So they don't even try.
You're gonna start seeing more Libertarian candidates winning here and there and everywhere, because I'm telling you what, there's a certain, you can feel it in the air. Neither one of us, nobody wants to vote for either one of these jokes of candidates.
Right.
And if they do support Trump or Biden, they're asleep. They're living in a dream world, because these are the two worst candidates our country has ever seen.
Right.
And all those people that say they don't want to vote third party because they can't win, if all those people voted third party, we would win.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I don't get it, but it's just I guess a mental block. I guess and I think people are afraid to do something new. I think people are afraid to do something new. Even if they don't like Biden, even if they don't like Trump, they don't want to do something new. Now I'll end it with this.
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead.
We know both sides of each candidate at this point. They've both been represented in our as candidates and as politicians. They both had their opportunities, and both of them are a mess. Why you would not look at a third party candidate and change the tide of things is pure insanity. And maybe we're not there yet, but eventually we will get there. People will start to wake up. The Libertarian Party is growing. This is a nonpartisan issue, but the Libertarian Party is what I'm doing to take this issue. I believe it's one of our best chances to have the Libertarian Party and its candidates run on ending and reforming family law and having equal shared parenting on the forefront, because as we know, as government strength comes from the family destruction, and that's what we're seeing. And it's happening in our family courts.
Mhm. So that's like the ground zero, basically.
Yeah, man. And it, like I said, it's the root cause of many of the systemic issues that I discussed earlier. So when you say, people running on this one issue, it's a one issue. It's not. It literally, like when you say I want equal shared parenting, you're saying I want less incarceration. I want less drug abuse. I want less suicide. I want less gangs. I want less teen pregnancy. I want less domestic violence. That's what you're saying when you're saying I want equal shared parenting. You'll probably find that kids that are raised equally by both parents will also increase the marriage rate, because what we've done now is we've divided men and women because we've incentivized divorce and we've incentivized custody battles, and that's the government getting involved.
Yeah. Hey, man, I appreciate it. You have to do it again sometime. And like I said, if you want to have me on sometime, I'll be willing to do it. Like I said, we have to kind of get this message out there so people can
Absolutely. I'd love to hear your story.
On.
So we'll get in touch. I'm going to go in here and vote Libertarian. And yeah, I'll reach out to you soon, and we'll get you on the show and let you talk about your story a little bit.
Okay. All right, thanks, man.
All right, man. All right, brother.